Hello everyone. In this video, I will present a review of the book Primates and Philosophers: How Morality Evolved by Frans de Waal. This is an anthology and few other writers have also shared their views in this regard. So let's get started. Frans de Waal is a Dutch-American primatologist and ethologist. He was born on October 29, 1948 and died just recently on March 14, 2024. I have watched his interviews and TED Talks. I have also read few of his articles, but first time I got a chance to read his book. He is among the most renowned primatologists, second only to Jane Goodall in my opinion. He has written many books including Chimpanzee Politics, Power and Sex Among Apes, The Age of Empathy, Nature's Lessons for a Kinder Society, and Different: Gender Through the Eyes of a Primatologist. This book is based on the Tanner's lectures that de Waal delivered at Princeton University in 2004, which were later expanded into this volume. De Waal begins by highlighting similarities between humans and other primates, especially chimpanzees and bonobos, also known as pygmy chimpanzees, in their social interactions. He argues that moral behavior, often thought to be exclusive to humans, can be observed in the animal kingdom, particularly in our closest evolutionary relatives. By studying these animals, de Waal contends that human morality is not an anomaly but a continuation of a long evolutionary process. Going further, let me talk about a socio-biological origin of morality. In 17th century, famous British political philosopher Thomas Hobbes argued that human is by nature brutal and seeks dominance over others in a perpetual war of all against all. However, during the 19th century, these debates on human morality took the central stage. Herbert Spencer first used the term survival of the fittest in 1952 to characterize human history. It is likely that his ultimate goal was to defend European colonialism and genocide. Darwin did not adopt it until almost 10 years later, when he used it to describe the types of natural selection he had discovered on his well-known trip to the Galapagos Island in The Origin of Species. Darwin's theories had been adopted by market liberals to further what is sometimes referred to as a gladiatorial view of natural selection. Notable examples of these liberals were English naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace and Darwin's bulldog Thomas Huxley. Like a boxer in a ring or a bond dealer on a trading floor, species compete with one another and the strong win, although Darwin argued that morality has evolutionary roots. Thomas Huxley, the grandfather of a famous writer Aldous Huxley, argued that morality is like a veneer. The theory is called as a veneer theory. According to veneer theory, deep down we are not truly moral. According to this perspective, morality is merely a thin veneer that covers up a more ruthless and self-centered inner self. This was until recently the prevalent perspective on morality in evolutionary biology, as well as among science journalists who popularized this area. Veneer theory was challenged by some of the leading thinkers of 19th century, especially by Russian anarchic geographer Peter Kropotkin and Finnish anthropologist Edward Westermark. And they presented an alternative or naturalistic theory. This theory maintains that we are largely good-natured, as the title of one of de Waal's books puts it, since our moral impulses are derived from our DNA. Edward Westermark, who also proposed the childhood familiarity theory of incest, argues that morality is embedded in human biology, but he only discussed humans and therefore lacked any scientific evidence. De Waal criticized the veneer theory, which posits that morality is a thin layer of social construct over an otherwise selfish and brutish nature. Instead, he posits that pro-social behaviors such as empathy and cooperation are intrinsic to the survival and flourishing of social species. These behaviors form the foundation upon which human morality is built, suggesting that our ethical systems are not purely the result of cultural evolution, but have deep biological roots. It is true that non-human behavioral goodness is less developed than human behavioral goodness, but de Waal's contends that the simpler animal morality must be seen as fundamental basis for the more sophisticated human morality. De Waal's anti-veneer theory is supported by empirical data. In order to empirically validate his claim, De Waal presents few studies conducted in the 1950s and early 60s. First, he presents an experiment conducted on rats by Russell Church. In a paper provocatively titled Emotional Reactions of Rat to the Pains of Other, Church established that rats have somehow empathy toward other rats. Church established that the rats that had learned to press a lever to obtain food would stop doing so if their response was paired with the delivery of an electric shock to a visible neighboring rat. Even though this inhibition habituated rapidly, it suggested something aversive about the pain reactions of others. Monkeys show a stronger inhibition than rats. The most compelling evidence for the strength of empathy in monkeys came from Wetchkin et al. 1964 and Messermann et al. 1946. They found that rhesus monkeys refuse to pull a chain that delivers food to themselves if doing so shocks a companion. One monkey stopped pulling for 5 days and another for 12 days after witnessing short delivery to a companion. These monkeys were literally starving themselves to avoid inflicting pain upon others. Such sacrifice relates to the tight social system and emotional linkage among these macaques, as supported by the findings that the inhibition to hurt another was more pronounced between familiar than unfamiliar individuals. The book also includes critical essays from the philosophers such as Robert Wright, Peter Singer, Christian Kierkegaard, and Philip Kitcher, who challenges and expands on De Waal's ideas. This interdisciplinary dialogue enriches discussion, providing philosophical depth to the scientific observation and offering a more nuanced understanding of the evolution of morality. No, not one of the 5 essayists in this anthology describe themselves as a veneer theorist in the De Waal sense. Veneer theory can be conceived in a variety of ways, as the essays demonstrate, but De Waal sometimes put Robert Wright in a broader category of veneer theories. Wright goes further, rejecting De Waal's label. Rather, I belong to a third category. I belong that the human moral infrastructure, the part of human nature that we draw on for moral guidance, and that includes some more specific moral intuition, is genetically rooted, not a cultural overlay. But B, this infrastructure is not infrequently subject to a systematic corruption, i.e. departure from what I call true morality, that itself rooted in the genes, and so is rooted because it served the Darwinian interests of our ancestors during evolution. So let's wrap this up, where it leaves us. Primates and Philosophers bridges the gap between science and philosophy, offering a thought-provoking perspective on the evolution of human morality and its implication for understanding human nature. Sorry for the audio quality, as I am using my smartphone for audio. Hopefully in future I will buy a decent microphone.